We got a good one for you today. We're going to sit down with one of the most successful songwriters of the 1980s. He wrote or co-wrote many hits for bands like Go West, Heart, Starship, Earth, Wind & Fire, Robbie Robertson of The Band, so many more. He also had several solo hits. So up next, we get the stories behind those songs, including the story behind Heart's only #1 hit, with Ann Wilson's take as well. It's coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you remember trying to find that person that you had a mad crush on at a school dance to slow dance with that person to your favorite song, you're going to love this channel. Nostalgia Overload. Go ahead and subscribe below right now. Make sure to hit the bell so you always get our classic rock nostalgia. And take a gander at our Patreon, where you're going to get even more content, and that helps us keep this channel alive. You can be an honorary producer as well. And we have new merch below. Check that out. So I'm coming up on 700 interviews. And my favorite interviews, per se, are ones that I do with the songwriters. Mostly because we get to walk around inside their head and get an amazing grasp of the creative process, birthing songs that become the soundtracks of our lives. A fascinating interview that I was able to do some time ago was with songwriter Martin Page. Martin co-wrote with the great Bernie Taupin in the 80s. Two of those collaborations with Bernie were #1 hits on the Hot 100. Then a decade later, Martin Page had his own #1 hit with the House of Stone and Light. So up next, we get to pick Martin's brain on partnering with some of the biggest artists ever, and the stories of those songs, including the story of These Dreams with Ann Wilson as well. It's going to be awesome. As we go into this, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear, the glasses that I always jam. It's Zenni.com. You can design your own frames to your own liking, and you're going to see exactly how they look on you before you buy it. It's Zenni's virtual mirror feature. It's very impressive. You got to check it out today at Zenni.com. Here's Martin.
When I was a kid living in England, I remember that I think I must have been about 6, 7 years old, that my mother and father would every now and then have anxiety and argue in the house as people try to bring their lives together and get a better life. And I remember that when a record was played in the house and music came on the radio, that the whole room changed. And like the anxiety went away, my mother started to relax, and it seemed to just really clear the air. And so I was drawn to vinyl record. I just thought this little record we're putting on a turntable is making everybody feel different. And so I wanted to get near that. I just wanted to get near to the magic of something that seemed intangible.
Yeah.
And that's how music first, I think, came through my skin. And I knocked on the right door, and Diane heard some of my demos. And Dancing in Heaven, the first Q-Phil record, was beginning to break on K-Rock.
Yeah, K-Rock
in LA at that time. So there were a lot of strange things all coming together at the right time.
And you had written something that was in the changing of the guard in the music industry with new wave and post-punk and all the things that were happening.
Absolutely. I think I came at the right time.
Bigger than his chart position, though. Still played on radio to this day.
It was actually, for me, a breakthrough record, because Maurice White with Earth, Wind & Fire heard it and was trying to change his style. He knew there was an energy there. And the great thing about Maurice was he wanted to see the band go into the next era, and he wanted to experiment. So in a way, Dancing in Heaven brought me to Maurice White and Earth, Wind & Fire, and actually brought me across to LA to meet Diane. So it's a seminal record for me. It was like a passport into the country.
Definitely.
Those guys are wonderful, Martin and Brian. How about this? I was so sleepy and tired, I turned those guys on the record because we were working on some other stuff together, and I trusted them, and I said, look, I need some keyboards, I need a little guitar. Have at it, I'm going home, go to sleep.
And I was in LA, And so, in fact, Diane introduced me to first Ray Parker and Ghostbusters.
We just were with Ray a couple days ago. He said tell you hi to make sure. No, you played the keyboards on that song.
Yeah, and Brian played guitar, my partner, and we were literally in town for about a week or something, and Diane, who was working with Ray Parker, said go across and meet with him. So he said, come in and play on this track. And all we heard was like, who are you going to call? Who are you going to call? We thought, this isn't very good. The first thing we're on sounds crap. And then, you know, but within 2 weeks it was #1, and we played on the track, and Ray was, you know, instrumental in helping us get through the door.
And they came up with some of those great little parts and stuff, and it was just I'm telling you, it was just perfect. There was just nothing we could do wrong about that song.
Yeah.
Everything just locked in.
Well, and of course, Martin Page, a couple of years later, wrote a couple of #1 hits himself with Bernie Taupin.
We Built This City was one that my good friend Martin Page sent me, great writer and a good friend, that he had written with Bernie Taupin.
Bernie Taupin, let's talk about how you met him.
A lot of the music publishers were getting very interested in me and my partner at that time because we were here and music was changing, styles were changing. So we found our demos, which sounded very new wave. Yes. They wanted to bring that into most American artists. If they could bring it to the Commodores, if they could bring it to Johnny Mathis, they would. And I went in to meet a guy called Bob Scoro, and he represented Bernie Taupin. He said, do you know Bernie Taupin? I said, forget it. That's my hero of lyrics. I said, I grew up on Tumbleweed Connection, and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is one of my favorite top 3 albums of all time. He goes, well, I represent him and I think you'd be good with him. And I'm like, what? You know, a bit of dribble coming down the mouth. Okay. And he said, I think you two could be really good together. We'll play him your Q-Phil record. And I was like, oh dear. I don't know if the Q-Phil record's really going to get Bernie interested, but it did. Bernie makes light of it, like, you know, he's the only one who ever bought it. But he said, let me give you 2 lyrics to try. And the first 2 lyrics he gave me were We Built This City and These Dreams.
Another #1 hit, Heart's first #1 hit.
Very fortunate that those were the first 2 lyrics he sent me and that we had 2 #1. It actually made, I think, Bernie go like, oh, I'm on to something here. And it kept us together for a number of years, which was really great.
We listened to piles and piles of other people's songs, you know, LA Songwriter Pool songs, and plus we were still writing our own, but the songs we were writing were just not, they weren't what was
the excess of the 80s.
Wanted. So we got a few songs on there, but most of it was outside songwriters.
Yeah.
Luckily, These Dreams.
Oh yeah,
which is a great song.
These Dreams was a 10-minute song. Yeah. I literally wrote it in 10 minutes. And it always sticks in my mind because when I wrote with Robbie Robertson on a song called For an Angel, it took over a year. Because when people say, well, how is it to write a song? I say, you can never really plan it. It's either going to happen straight away or you get a glimpse and then it takes a long time. So These Dreams I remember as being ridiculously fast. Yeah. And I can remember writing in a little flat in LA and so excited about harmonically how the melody was that I picked up the phone and played it to Diane as I was singing it down the phone and playing the chords because it just wrote it. I mean, it sounds cliche, but it came very, very quick. I mean, it's one of those things when now, if anybody asked me, they say, what are your favorite songs? I'd say probably musically, that These Dreams hits all the knobs for me. I'm pleased with how harmonically that song turned out.
From dreams in the mist. Well, Bernie also said something to the effect of that you have a similar enthusiasm to what Elton had.
You know, Bernie's paid me the biggest compliment by saying, you know, you remind me of that enthusiasm for doing it, working hard, recording tons of songs in a week, going down to the record shop with a crate of albums. And, you know, that's all we talked about was just music, music, music. So, you know, it was a magical time and I'm still very close to Bernie.
Fallen Angel, you get to work with another hero, Peter Gabriel, of course, singing on that song. What an incredible, incredible song. One of the best that you've ever written.
I agree. Best way I could explain this is I would call this the Trinity, the 3 people I worked with which really influenced my musical career. That'd be Maurice White, Bernie Taupin, and Robbie Robertson. And then Bernie Taupin says to come back from England, he goes, who are you working with these days? I went, this bloke called Robbie Robertson. He goes, Robbie Robertson! Damn it, that's who we... my hero. You know, he was like,
Yeah.
I was like, really? I said, yeah, I'm in there now working with him. It takes forever. The great, you know, to not rabbit on about it, but I would bring him demos, bits of music over the year that we worked on it. I would keep on changing the demo, bringing it in, and I'd play and say, I think it's finished, Rob. I think it's finished. And he'd go, maybe. Play it again. Come back next week and we'll listen. And then I'd write another bit and I'd come in and I'd go, now I've really got it. This is it, you know. And he'd listen and go, we're getting nearer. Like, no. You know, and so it really affected me because I came out of that year of going, I think we've done it.
Yeah.
No, we go another month. But I'll be dead. No, we go another month. That was a time really when I was writing with everybody under the sun. Every publisher.
Neil Diamond, Barbra Streisand. I mean, you've written with some heavy hitters.
It was one of those, you know, I suppose it's like a soccer player when you're on form and everybody's saying, playing the next game. So the phone was ringing and I was learning. Q-Field, my band, you know, it sort of fragmented away into me thinking I can learn so much and I can really concentrate on being a songwriter. If you love songwriting, I couldn't have got a better education because this whole town, LA, was about songs being brought into record companies. The songwriter was really the lifeblood. So you were going around A&R departments, you know, putting songs on hold, which is probably not heard of now, but it was like, you know, let's go over to EMI, then let's go over to Geffen, and they're holding this song, so-and-so's holding that song.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, a bit of a business, but it was so thrilling in LA. I knew that LA was the songwriter's town.
Well, in King of Wishful Thinking, one of my favorite songs of the 90s. I mean, just so powerful. Go West really hadn't broken in America yet. They had a couple of songs on modern rock radio, but I read that you really wanted to give them a hit. You really wanted to work to give them something incredible. And that's really a modern day Motown song.
Oh, you just nailed it. I feel that too.
Yeah.
It's a Smokey Robinson song in a way.
Yeah.
It could have been a Motown. I really feel, I said it to a few friends, I said, King of Wishful Thinking could stand the test of time as a really good Motown, Smokey Robinson kind of song because it's got that blue lyric, but where it really takes you straight away into a great groove and a great feel.
Yeah. It's just a perfect pop song. Well, I'm excited now to get into In the House of Stone and Light. 94, of course, you get to go do your solo record. And even some of your heroes who had helped you said, you got to go do something for yourself. It was time for you to be able to let your inner voice shine.
Diane had always said to me, one day you'll make a solo record. And I was like, yeah, sure, you know. But then all these people I worked with, I played them demos first. And they're almost mini records. And particularly with Robbie Robertson and Bernie would say, oh, these are like Elton's demos. You know, Elton does it like this. And of course, to me, it was me just doing my thing. You know, I thought if I can portray how a person should sing the songs, great. I didn't see myself as a lead singer at all. I was doing it because even with Q-Field, with Dancing in Heaven, the record company said, we need somebody really good looking in the band. And so you guys are great writers, but find a lead singer. And we just could not find somebody to sing it. So I ended up singing it. But it was almost like my singing always came out of a need to portray what the song was. And like you loving records, I heard the harmonies, I heard the octaves, I heard arrangements. So I would play with my voice to make a mini record on a 4-track or an 8-track. But Robbie Robertson heard my demos for Fallen Angel or whatever, and he goes, you know, you've got a thing in your voice, you've got something going on, and I don't know why you know, I like you singing like this. And I would be singing, you know, Fallen Angel to him. And he'd go, there's a thing going on, you know. And then Diane, my manager, would say, I go, I didn't sing that. She'd go, you've got motion in your voice. You've got an emotion. So, you know, for the other people around me to say, hey, there's a passion in your voice. You get something truthful out. Mainly Robbie Robertson saying, go away and do your thing. Yeah. So, as I just said to you, that year, whatever, with Robbie made me put my studio in my garage. And I concentrated on basically emulating what he did, because he just sat in the village f***ing about, you know, do a bit of this, bit of that, bit of vocal, bit of this, bit of that. And so I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I love the Todd Rundgren records. I love Paul McCartney's solo record. I love when Stevie Wonder made Talking Book and did all this. So I thought, let me try and really do something that is emotional. I've had success But what became very apparent to me is that I have a love for what music does to me. So as I went on and having hits, I made a determined effort that I wanted to learn more, that wasn't just cosmetic, go and write the next song, go and do this, go and do that, and a formula.
What's amazing about that recording, Josh Groban, and the recording that you did with Robbie Williams, is that they're singing on top of your demo.
Yeah. Mi Morena, when Josh Groban came to do that song, he said, I love the demo so much. I just want to put my voice on the demo. I want the demo. And so I just got him in my garage and put his voice on the demo. Wow. Same thing with Robbie Williams. I was playing soccer still as an old boy up at his house, and he'd heard the Temple of the Muse album, you know, and he just said, Robbie said to me, that's the best pop record I've heard all year. And I'm thinking, I feel like George Martin here, twice as old as his father, you know what I mean? And he's over there with Blur, and he's over there with all the English bands, and he's going, this is the most powerful pop record. I want to cut a few songs from this album.
Looking back on your life, personal and career, what are you most grateful for?
Being here, now, right now, talking about music with good people, still with my manager, with a good-hearted person like you. I'm just grateful that I'm healthy, and I can still remember the words that Maurice White said, you know, do what you do best, but keep away from drugs and unhealthy way of living. It's very hard to do, particularly in our business because we're creative, but I'm incredibly grateful for right now. Talking about the music I've done all my life, somebody recognizes it. It's fucking brilliant.
Isn't Martin great? Love him. Leave us a comment about this great songwriter, Martin Page. Tell us your thoughts, your memories of these songs. Hey, if you like our content, we'd love to have you subscribe below. Click the bell so you never miss out on our videos. And we'd love to have you as part of our Patreon community as well. You can check that out. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.